everybody. Today is Monday. It is May 19th. It is about 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'm just going to do a video. It's probably my only video for the week because it is kids out of school, things like that going on for the vacation. So I'm going to take a couple weeks off, probably just check out my ex and get her every day during the time. Maybe I'll pop a quick video in somewhere here and there. Definitely I'll do one or two next week, I think. But so let's go. There's some news that came out that I wanted to focus on today. Pretty encapsulating things. First thing that'll jump out today is from Senator Mike Lee retweeting Benny Johnson. Breaking: Supreme Court has cleared the Trump administration to revoke legal status from 500,000 plus criminal aliens flown in under the Biden regime. Scotus gave the green light for Trump to deport 500,000 plus criminal aliens. Who else can already smell the jet fumes? That's Mike Lee. So what are they talking about? A little further in this tweet gives it up. This is from Eric Doherty. Breaking: U.S. Supreme Court removes a judge's block on Trump canceling legal status for over 500,000 aliens who came in under Biden's parole program for now, from Fox. So what is this? This is a parole program that the Biden administration put into place. No act of Congress, just did it, okay? And the fact that, you know, we had that bad ruling on Friday, okay? That was 7-2 against us. But this one was 8-1 in front of us. And I think the key driving element to that was that, hey, you started this parole program initiative via executive order in no congressional authority, going against established procedures that has been passed by Congress and signed into law by prior presidents. It could be removed. Trump can just do it. But of course, an activist judge had blocked it going back a ways. And now it finally got the Supreme Court. They made their ruling 8-1. Only that moron, and she's a moron, Jackson, voted no. So even Sotomayor and Kagan voted on this one. You know, every once in a while, Kagan even gets it right, because I don't think she's a moron like Jackson is. She's just a lefty. All right, so there you have it. So I wanted to share that with you too. That's good news, and that kind of offsets some of the bad news we took on this subject on Friday. So we'll go moving on here. We've been gaslit about the leader of the free world. It has scandal written all over it. So I'm not going to play a video, but we know what's going on here. This has to do with Biden's cancer diagnosis. Okay? Now, I've heard from several doctors on TV and whatever that this type of prostate cancer that is metastasized to the bone does not just pop up, okay? And you're a president of the United States. You're getting checked on and checked on. Also, I heard that the president, that they always disclosed, like prior presidents, their PSA results from their physicals. And those were consistently omitted during the Biden administration. So why is that? So basically they're saying this guy had cancer. This guy knew he had cancer. Okay, so what does that mean? Not only were they hiding his dementia, they were hiding this as well from the president. The 25th Amendment was put in there for that reason. So because they knew Harris wasn't that popular, their game plan was, let's push Biden past the finish line. That's why they wanted the debate moved up to June, because they thought he did okay through the State of the Union. We can get him through the debate where he just gets by, and then who cares what happens after him? We'll move him into the closet and rely on our organization to get out the vote. Okay? And then we don't have Kamala Harris dragging us down with some of our vote shares in certain demographics in certain states. And that was the game plan. And then he gets sworn in, and then she takes over. Point. That's also one of the reasons why I think early in his administration they took out Andrew Cuomo, because among Democrats he was still very popular in 21. Okay? So anyway, the point is that they did this. You know, and you got like Joe Scarborough and all these liberal commentators say, you've never been sharper in my life. Now, did that anchors believe it? Who knows? Who knows? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't believe it. But I believe the messaging went out. That's when you have these corporations, the big ones, you know, Comcast, NBC, and CBS and all that. They got these boards. It is not hard to message the boards. Make sure you get your anchors to promote this narrative. So whether they believe it or not is irrelevant. It's already that corrupt system from the White House into that corporate boardroom, into the newsroom. And that's how they covered it all up. Okay? And then they knew they had a problem with the debate. This is bad. This is really bad. So who is making the decisions? Who is doing this? If he's not making these decisions, then anything he signed in the law is void. An investigation needs to be done, an independent counsel, and anybody who purposely covered this up and lied to the American people about it should be held accountable. It is simple as that. Okay, this is serious stuff. All right, so I just wanted to comment on that and realize that this is more, with everything going on, I think people realize the importance of this, but you got to realize that this is important. Okay, an unelected gaggle in the White House was running the country. And that is a problem. They weren't elected, Biden was. All right? So, jumping on, we'll move out here to the foreign front. I just want to go back, actually, also, too. If you didn't know, on Sunday, there was I did on my last video on Friday, that the 4 Republicans, Brasheen, Roy, Norman, and I forgot the 4th one, voted no in the budget to advance the big, beautiful bill. So 1 a.m. this morning, it was passed because they voted present. So they voted to move it along. And Chip Roy put up a tweet saying, we want the American Rescue Plan out. Well, about $600 billion of one section and like $400 billion of another, and this is over time. Okay, they got rid of like 80% of one and almost none of the other half. Well, why not? Just get rid of it. Every Republican voted no in the House on that bill. Every single one. So you should be able to get every single Republican to get rid of this. Why do they want it in now? See, it shows you that some Republicans vote in, and then when they might have gotten some stuff in their district in the bill, so now they don't want to really pull it out. Okay, or maybe it might be certain beneficial to their state, especially some green stuff going to blue states, okay, that have all these green initiatives in it, and they represent these blue states, all right? So I think that it's it's point. I still think they get there, but that's significant cuts, because if it's another $600 billion, let's say over 10 years, that's still $60 billion more to lower the deficit. And I know they can find more, and that's what these hawks still got to do. Listen, these blue state Republicans are getting that SALT cap raise from 10 to 30. Okay, and in 2017, a lot of these, I think it was 10, 11 Republicans, mostly from blue states because of SALT, voted no. We had a much bigger margin then to absorb that. You're getting it tripled now. Be happy and vote for these cuts because it is important to get rid of the waste, strengthen the dollar domestically in its purchasing power due to reducing deficits. Okay, and that is good. It's just simple as that. So I hope they... I want this passed because I want the Trump, the tax cuts to be permanent. I like the expensing. I like the no tax on tips. But the spending that's got to be the number one priority for national economic health. All right. So now we'll jump on the foreign front. Okay. So if you don't know, the Romanian election happened. They call him centrist. He's a globalist, the pro-EU guy. He won. Nicolas Dan won the election. Simeon lost. It widened and then it shortened with the diaspora vote came in last, but he won by I think it was anywhere between 4 and 6 points by the end of the day. But, that was a big move to the right. Simeon did a good campaign. I just find it very odd that the guy who got 21% in the first round got 52, and the guy in the second round who got 41 couldn't get the 9. That just, so maybe every single person who voted for all the left wings, they all came out again. I mean, I guess it's possible, but that's it. But one of the interesting things, and this is going to focus more on this, is Telegram founder Pavel Durov revealed that it was Nicholas Lerner, head of French intelligence, who approached him with the request to censor Romanian conservative voices on his platform. There you go. It's what they did in the United States. So our CIA and our 3-letter agencies pressured Twitter and Facebook to do this regarding COVID and other things. Well, that's the same playbook of the globalists in Europe. So this came out yesterday, and it was big news all over because Davos said, yeah, the French government did it. And then today he said exactly who it was. And Durov said, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing that game. And, he was arrested by the French last year and then released, and he hasn't been back. He lives in the UAE. Think about that. A free speech guy lives in the UAE because he's scared of living in Europe because of anti-free speech laws. And then we have the moral authority to tell everybody how to live in their country. Oh, my God. The hypocrisy is quite stenchful. All right. So other elections, it was like a super Sunday, triple elections. Next one, Poland, first round. So at 31%, Trzaskowski, that is your liberal party. They're the party in power now. Number 2 at 29.5 is the Law and Justice Party, and that is Naraki. Those two will go off. But I want you to notice 14.3 or 8, Benson of KON, and Braun 6.3%. Those are more right-wing populist parties to the right of Law and Justice. And Law and Justice is not bad. They're Eurosceptic slightly. They're not like, Macron's party or the CDU. They're actually better of a conservative party, the Law and Justice Party. They are anti-woke. They got sanctioned by the EU because they wouldn't adopt certain transgender. And that's why they were being hailed as heroes for taking in all these Ukrainian immigrants and refugees during the outset of hostilities in 2022. But there you go. But again, let's add up the vote from second rounds here, just like Romania. This should be 29.5, we'll say 14.5. So that's 13, that's 44. So right now that should put them well over 50%. Some of the lefties will stay, hard left might stay home. And then there you have it, because they're pushing Trzaskowski as, a globalist centrist. So I think Naraki will have the momentum. I think that he's good enough and he's embraced some of the populist positions. And on domestic issues, he'll be relatively more popular. They'll be more in line with the right-wing populists. So I think you're going to see a lot of those people, the 20+% who voted for those third and fourth place populist parties, to come out for Naraki. So I think he'll have the momentum. It's in 2 weeks, and I think he'll squeak it out. So that would be good news on that front. So I say, so we lost one. This one, I think, looks good. I'd say lean us. Now, where we did win. So the socialists in Portugal were kicked out of power yesterday due to a snap election. Okay? And the socialists, won 58 seats. They lost 19, and there are 58 seats. Now, the Conservative Party, which has some slight populist leanings in Portugal, increased their seats by 10, won 89 seats. Now, the biggest thing is Enough, or Chega. They are their populist right party. They are your National Rally, your off day, and they increased their seat share by 10. In fact, they have the same seat share right now as the Socialist Party in second place, as the left. So between the two of them, conservatives win, right-wing populists tied for second place. There's your coalition government right there and can get a lot through. Not only that, Che got more of the popular vote by about 1 percentage point than the left-wing party. So that's a great victory for us in Portugal. Each of these countries, you add them up, right? Even though they're not one of your big powerhouses. We have strengthened National Rally in France, third of the parliament there. AfD did well in Germany, but we got Hungary, we got Slovakia, we now got Portugal. So you add up even these little countries, Poland should come our way. So this will be good, in weakening the EU's grip, and the globalist institutions. So that was a big thing and whatever. So moving on to the next thing, Trump and Putin's phone call. So just completed my 2-hour call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. I believe it went very well. Russia and Ukraine will immediately start negotiations toward a ceasefire and, more importantly, an end to the war. They can negotiate if they want, they can agree on anything, and I guess they will. Putin said the call went well. I saw his comments after the call when he went out to the press. He was basically saying the same thing. No real specifics, though. The conditions for that will be negotiated between the two parties, as it can only be, because they know details of a negotiation that nobody else would be aware of. The tone and spirit of the conversation were excellent. If it wasn't, I would say so now, rather than later. Russia wants to do large-scale trade with the United States when this catastrophic bloodbath is over, and I agree. There is a tremendous opportunity for Russia to create massive amounts of jobs and wealth. Its potential is unlimited. Likewise, Ukraine can be a great beneficiary on trade in the process of rebuilding its country. Negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will begin immediately. I have so informed President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, President Emmanuel Macron of France, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni of Italy, Chancellor Friedrich Merz of Germany, and President Alexander Stubb of Finland, during a call with me immediately after the call with President Putin. The Vatican, as represented by the Pope, has stated that it would be very interested in hosting negotiations. Let the process begin. I hope having a religious backdrop, people make more honest in there. So I like the Vatican idea. But again, they want a ceasefire. Russia does not. Russia wants their meaningful goals in their negotiations. Ukraine and the Europeans don't. There's your deadlock. That's the space. So they're going to have to be compromised on here. But there are a couple core ones that Russia won't do. And then because of pressure at home, Zelensky from the ultranationalists, he can't give up certain things. Well, I don't know why. Who cares about Crimea being recognized? Because it's never going back. It's just you're acknowledging a fact on the ground. And these 4 oblasts. Also, Russia's nervous about a 30-day ceasefire for nothing. Oh, by the way, they did agree on another exchange, which is good. But because they're afraid of rearming in that period. And they will give up the leverage they might have, meaning Russia. So, what leverage are? What's the status of the war? How is it truly a stalemate? And it's not. So this is from the Institute Studies of War, which is, if you know, that's Kagan's and Newland's. This is Neocon Hub Central. This is their maps as of yesterday. Okay? With an update over the last 24 hours, which I'll get into. So this is no, it is not. This is Ukraine. All right? Crimea is on the southwest, that island sticking into the Black Sea. From west to northeast, Kherson, Zaporozhye, Donetsk, and Lugansk is in the right. Up on the top is Kharkiv, and then Sumy is north of Kharkiv. The blue area is Ukraine territory. Okay? So, let's go back in here. That's the one I showed. So this is going in the northern part. The yellow, this is all just anything gold here, gold, yellow, whatever you want to call it, is recent captured Russian territory. Now, I want to show you something here. The blue in this map is Kharkiv Oblast. Okay? This whole section in the upper right is Luhansk territory. You see this white here? Under the blue, in between the red, north of where it says Donetsk, that little sliver there, that is the last of Luhansk territory to be liberated by the Russians. That's it. Another 5% of the whole oblast, it's gone. And as you can see, they've made significant gains. Okay? That means they're pushing right up on the Kharkiv region, and they're already taking territory in the Kharkiv region. That's not even one of the 4 oblasts that joined the Russian Federation. Okay? Oops. Sorry, I want to zoom in here. Okay. So, we're going to be moving south now to the Donetsk Oblast. Okay? Here we go. All right. So now, that blue area was up there in Lugansk area like I was showing. And this little sliver east of Sloviansk. Sloviansk, Kramatorsk are really the last 2 big cities left of Donetsk. Now, if you see here, just to the west, is Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Again, not one of the 4. That's another oblast. But they are driving towards it. And Pokrovsk is the last area just north of Pokrovsk, right where it's on the southwest of where it says Donetsk Oblast on the map. That's it. Behind that is Dnipropetrovsk. And they've already entered and doing strikes and drone strikes in that. So they're already in northern Donetsk, right on the border of the next oblast over. Okay? Now in this area in Toretsk, you see how they're coming around. Now I pointed this out in some of my videos and what. They are driving towards Konstantinivka. That opens the road because it's open here to those last 2 cities in northern Donetsk. And then they have the entire oblast. And now they're driving from the south now towards Kharkiv, where they're driving from the northern part of Kharkiv right now. Okay, oblast. Okay, now this is Bakhmut. That was taken a while ago. Look how far they went. Donetsk City was taken a year ago. Look how far west they've driven. From what I understand, in the last 16 months, it's about 1,900 square kilometers have been taken by the Russians. And in that time, hundreds of thousands of dead Ukrainians and tens of thousands of vehicles and thousands of weapon systems, whether it's tanks, artillery pieces, etc. Destroyed. Okay? Now, just in the last 24 hours, in this little, where this green circle is, in Toretsk area, and this little circle, there's been a big collapse of the Ukrainian forces. And now they're trapped in this, like, pincher, because they were driving northeast behind them So Ukraine is going to have to pull out of these key areas. And you're going to see more gold fill in here really quickly over the next few days. And that just evens the line now, too. So as we go down southwest, okay, boom. So now we're going down the line here. More territory here in this circle. More territory taken in this circle. All around here. See? This is all southern Donetsk. And southern Donetsk is almost all gone, taken. And then you can see the line here. That's the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, which kind of like encircles Donetsk in the southern part. Okay? So they're already got Donetsk almost done. All right? It'll take some more months because it is a big place. Remember, Ukraine's a big country. But look at these gold territories. This is all just like in the last few days, folks. 18. So this is Zaporozhye. This is a territory that Russia has not really focused on as much. Not until, let's say, the last month, almost month and a half. And they've already made gains. All this orange territory in recent days. Plus, that's other territory. Now, all these lines that you're seeing, by the way, are older fortifications. See, they're driving past the fortifications that were there from the 2014 war, particularly in Lugansk and Donetsk. And they're driven past all the Ukrainian fortifications that they built after they recaptured the territory when the Russians withdrew in the fall of 2022. Kherson, the most quietest of the areas to the west. Here, let me zoom in a little bit here. Okay, but they're starting to take territories here as well. There's a lot of water area because it's near the Dnieper River, and they're moving islands and boats and occupying these small islands to be steady and cautious to go across. So, this is Kursk up in the north that the Ukrainians were finally kicked out of. Gold territory. That's in it's in Sumy region. Okay, that Sumy borders the Kursk Oblast. If you don't know, Kursk is actually Russia proper, never part of Ukraine. Okay, but they're already going into Sumy now after liberating Kursk. And they're going up here in the north. So this is Sumy. This is another oblast that's not even part of the four. So they're in Kharkiv. They're in Sumy. They're in Dnipropetrovsk. Okay? And there's another one north of Zaporozhye and Kherson that they could get to closer. So, they got these four locked down. They're already in three more. And Ukraine is... some of their units they've lost a lot of territory. This one area by Teretska was telling you about, I believe it was like 30 square kilometers in like 24 hours. And it was mostly because of withdrawals. Troops were about to get cut off. So Russia's got the leverage. And they're going to be like, if we don't get the peace deal, we're going to get our military goals in terms of, maybe not NATO, because the rest of the country you don't take can still join it one day, but at least the full liberation of the four. But if there's still no peace, then they're going to go to what I think the Dnieper River, which is the most common sense defense barrier for them. So anything west of that. And then there are other issues. What do you do with ethnic Ukrainians and ethnic Ukrainians and Russians' lands, ethnic Russians and Ukrainian lands? Okay, what are you going to do about the ultranationalists who have great power in the Ukrainian government? That's what Russia is referring to when he says denazification. Because they were the ones who imposed a lot of the rules on the Russian speakers in the East, which helped fuel this conflict and the independence when Lugansk and Donetsk declared independence in 2014 after our meddling in the coup and go on. I'm not going to get into the full history of it, but that's my point. So unless if they don't get those major compromises on the denazification and the never joining NATO situation because they don't want American missiles on the Dnieper River, okay, like they are in Romania, then they'll say, fine, we'll go to the river. If you give them that, I don't think they will go to the river. I think they will stop at those territories. And even Zaporozhye and Kherson, they might even stop where they're at right now, okay? And then they would have to just do Lugansk and Donetsk, okay? So who knows? Remember, there's a law in Ukraine that says Zelensky can't negotiate with the Russians, signed by Zelensky, passed by the Rada, which is their parliament. Okay, and Russia has recognized those four oblasts via referendum. So and they recognize that as Russian territory. So if they recognize the Russian territory, they both sides have some constitutional issues that I have to deal with in figuring this out. But there's your compromise. Because if Ukraine doesn't want to lose more territory, more of Sumy, have them take the rest of Zaporozhye and Kherson, I think Russia gets all of the rest of Donetsk when this is done anyway, even in a deal, because they'll have to. Because remember, that was one of the original ones that declared, and Lugansk is done for all intents and purposes. So they're not giving up. The Russians don't have to give that up, okay? Because they're going to get it anyway. So if you don't want them to take more territory, if you're Ukraine, you just got to give in to the no NATO thing, and you got to hold the elections and clean up the government with the ultranationalists and do something about that. And then I think Russia will stop. But if not, they'll go. And they're going to keep going forward. I do not think a ceasefire happens unless Ukraine withdraws. Like, you know what? You want the ceasefire? We'll withdraw from Luhansk, Donetsk. Okay, and maybe like half of what we have in Zaporozhye and Kherson to a certain point. Russia might do a ceasefire then, because they're like, you know what, in those 30 days, if we just did a straight ceasefire, that's the territory that we were going to take anyway. So we could go up to that line and then do real negotiations during those 30 days. And if those break down, Russia can then move into those areas territory, and then they can continue west again. And Ukraine will have time to prepare for defensive positions for 30 days in those sections. But then that could also lead to a frozen conflict. So anyway, I just wanted to show you the state of the war, each region, how they're making gains, how Russia is doing it slow and steady, but all over the front now, with series of big little random collapses that are going on. So that appears small, but that hasn't happened because of the type of warfare that we're into. You know, I've always said World War I meets high tech. That's what this war is. So anyway, so I'll keep an eye on any more court rulings, particularly on the immigration cases coming out. Keep an eye on the one big, beautiful bill. Also, on the election coming up, the runoff in Poland, any polling data coming out on that, as well as any news on the trade deals going on, the trade negotiations, what's going on with Syria. Are we going to recognize that lunatic and stop the sanctions? So we'll see what happens in that front. And then we'll see what happens with these Ukraine negotiations. I'll be posting and reposting on my exit at Patriot Planner 1 or my getter at Patriot Planner. And if you like this video, please like, follow, and share. All right? Have a great week and a happy Memorial Day weekend if I don't do another video.